So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. Now in today's video guys, I have some tactics for probably my favourite wider formation in FC24, this being the 4-3-3 fourth variation. So with all that aside guys, let's get right into the video and I hope you enjoy. If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com, their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. Alright then guys, so starting off with the custom tactics for the defensive style, as always we have this on balance. Now the reason we have it on balanced is because it gives you the best control over your defense. So when you want to be aggressive towards your opponent and press, you can, and then when you want to drop back and be a little bit more passive, you can also do that. When it comes to applying pressure in this game as well, we don't actually have to use any of the pressure tactics because there is actually a better option that we can use, and we'll get onto that in a moment. So balanced is the way to go here. Now moving on to the defensive width guys, on this game I prefer a bit more of a narrow compact width in my opinion, because I think it's just a lot better to block out those attacks through the middle primarily, and then when an opponent wants to go for a cutback, just manually pulling a player out wide to block that cutback attempt. So I think a lower width is better, which is why I've gone for something like 40. It's not as low as I would use in some other formations, but you know, it's still quite a low width to use. Moving on to the depth guys, this is the thing that I was on about when it came to the pressure in this game. So if you're on the new gen version of FC24 and you have your depth on 71 or higher, you will get this automatic press from the AI. It's a very strong press, it's a very overpowered press, and it's very difficult for your opponent to actually play through it. It completely breaks their attacking AI. The thing about 71 depth as well is you don't really get a stamina drain on your players when you use it compared to like the pressure tactics, which is why it's better to use than like something like press after possession loss, because you can basically press like a madman for 90 minutes and not get punished for it. That being said, if you're still on old gen and you're not able to get this 71 depth thing because it is a new gen only thing, have your depth on something like 55 to 60 and that'll be fine. And yeah, moving on to the build up play guys, we have this on balance. This is because it is the most controlled and varied form of build up. When you have this on balance, you can pick and choose when and where you use each form of build up. So if you want to play slowly you can, and then if you want to speed it up and play a little bit faster you can also do that. So balance gives you the most control of your build up, which is very useful to have. Now moving on to the chance creation guys, an absolute must in my opinion is direct passing. The reason direct passing is so important is because it's the only actual tactic which will allow you to break through the park the bus defense. So what will happen with direct passing is your players will commit very far into your opponent's box and they will make those runs. Your opponent's defenders will follow them, and then after your opponent's defenders have followed your attackers will then track back so you can have that cutback option. So it's a very boring meta but a very necessary one at the moment with the park to bus defense. So direct passing, very important guys. Now moving on to the width guys, because this is a wider formation it makes sense that we use a higher attacking width. So we just have this on 51 because it's nice and wide but it's not too wide at the same time. So I just find this to be really nice. I just went 1/50 because it feels a little bit wider. It's just a psychological thing. But yeah, 51 for the width. For the players in box I have this on 6. This is so we can get quite a few players into the box to finish off our chances, but we don't overcommit everybody on the team to the point where if we lose out on possession we're not always going to get counter-attacked. And as for the corners and free kicks guys, this is a preference thing, but I just have them on 2. You can do whatever you want with that. Sorry to interrupt the video guys, but I have noticed around 90% of you that watch the content are not subscribed. So if you are finding any of these videos helpful, please be sure to hit that subscribe button as it does help me out massively. Also don't forget to drop the video a like as well. And with all that aside guys, let's get back to the video. Now moving on to the player instructions guys, on the striker we just have them on stay central. This is so they always stay in those central areas where you want your striker to be. It means they can always be relied upon. You always know where they are, which is very important. We also don't need them drifting out wide because we do have wingers in this formation, so we just keep them on the stay central instruction. We also have them on mixed attack as opposed to get in behind, so you can get a lot more out of this player. Because we're using like wingers, sometimes we don't always just want them to run in behind. Sometimes we might want them to come short so we could like 1-2 it with them. Yeah, you know, just a lot of different things. So mixed attack just gets you a lot more varied build-up in my opinion. For the wingers, guys, we have them on cut inside, get in behind, and get into the box for cross. We have them on cut inside, so they look to cut in to get closer to the striker. It gets them closer to the actual striker, and it makes it easier to actually score chances because they get closer to the goal. What will often happen with the cut inside instruction is these players will make transitional runs from the wide areas into the more narrow areas, which are harder for your opponents to mark. We also have them on getting behind, so they look to utilize their pace to get in behind that defensive line, which is very effective, especially since people are always using this 71 depth thing with the high defensive line. So getting behind, really useful on these players. And then get into the box for cross, so these players are not hesitant to get into the penalty area and help us out in those situations. If you have them on balanced attack, they can be a little bit hesitant and a little bit static, which is really annoying. So get into the box cross, very useful to use, guys. Now moving on to the cam, guys, we have them on comeback on defense and get into the box for cross. We have them on comeback on defense, so he'll drop in sometimes to make it feel more like an actual solid 3 in the midfield. The reason this is really good, if you have somebody like Griezmann, who is a high work rated player, it can just feel like you have like an extra defensive player in the midfield when you don't have the ball, which is really nice. So comeback on defense on this player is actually really good if you have a good player in this position, somebody with a high work rate. You know, Griezmann, perfect example, by the way. We also have this player on get into the box for cross, so they don't hesitate to get into the penalty area. Again, very useful to have, guys. Now moving on to the left centre mid, we do use a more defensive minded player. So on this player, we have him on stay back while attacking and cover centre. We have him on stay back while attacking because, like I said, he is a more defensive minded player, so we don't just want him going forward all the time. We want him to stay back and be as solid as possible. We also have this player on cover centre, so he always looks to defend those central areas, which is very important, guys. Moving on to the right centre mid, guys, we have them on cover, center, and then the rest on the default settings. We leave them on the default settings because I use a more box-to-box style midfielder in this position, so we don't just want them to defend all the time. We want them to attack, we want them to defend. We leave them on the default so they can do a bit of everything. We also have them on cover center though, so they will primarily defend those central areas, which is very useful in blocking all of those attacks. Moving on to the fullbacks, guys, on your more attacking one, we just have him on balanced attack and mixed attack. Balanced attack's useful because it just gives you another body when you're going forward. In narrow formations, I would put this player on overlap, but because this is a wider formation, we don't always want him to overlap because we sometimes have players out wide. So sometimes we might want him to go inverted, other times we want him to go overlap. So mixed attack allows you to have the best of both worlds there. Moving on to the other fullback, guys, the more defensive one, stay back while attacking and mixed attack. We have him on stay back while attacking, so we always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, which is very useful. We can still manually send him forward with like L1 or something, but it just means by default we'll always have at least 3 defenders back. For the 2 centre backs, guys, we leave them alone. You don't need to touch these. And the keeper, if you want, you can put them on comes for crosses and sweeper keeper, but that is not necessary. So, you know, just do whatever you want with that. But yeah, guys, that is basically it for the video. If you have enjoyed this video or found it useful, please be sure to drop this a like, as it does help me out massively. Subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys.